A very good evening to everyone out there. I think it's the time when we can start the class. So, very good evening. So, we will today continue with the topic on attitude, and today we are basically supposed to discuss the functions of attitude, right? So, if you remember what we have discussed when I started this topic of attitude, I told you that it is very important to know the attitude of a person. Why? Because it is a specific determinant of behavior. So if I know your attitude towards something, it would be easy for me to predict your behavior. So it is very important to know the attitude of a person. Because once you know the attitude, you would be able to understand the situation, you would be able to describe the situation, you will also be able to predict how they are going to behave in a certain situation, and accordingly, if that behavior needs to be controlled, then it would be better. Is that very clear for everyone, right? So the point which I am making here is that attitude is a more specific determinant of behavior as compared to the values. So if you know the values of the person, it's a general determinant because the value system guides an individual. So knowing the value system, you might try to understand that what can be the possible behavior. However, if you know the attitude, you exactly know how they are going to behave. Is that clear? But today we will also discuss that not always the attitude is consistent with the behavior. It might happen that your attitude is saying something else, however, the behavior is saying something else. Now, Siddhant, we haven't discussed anything till now. ठीक है, आई एम जस्ट डूइंग. अच्छा, ज्यादा जल्दी स्टार्ट हो गई क्या क्लास? आई थॉट 5 बज गए. नहीं, मैंने कुछ पढ़ाया नहीं है अभी तक. आई हैवंट टॉट एनीथिंग. आई वाज जस्ट सेइंग दैट व्हाटएवर वी डिस्कस्ड इन द प्रीवियस क्लास अबाउट एटीट्यूड. सो आई वाज जस्ट टेलिंग दैट इट इज द रेडीनेस ऑफ द psyche to act or react in a certain way. Then attitude is basically, you don't overnight develop an attitude, right? So you go under that process of evaluation, the positive and the negative evaluation with respect to that object towards which you have an attitude. Is clear? Okay. Good evening, everyone. I think I'm taking class after a week or so. So I think I was more excited to take the class. So maybe I would have started before 5 also. Okay. So, hi people. A very good evening. So let's start. Can I start now? I haven't taught anything. I was just kind of revisiting what we have done in the previous classes. Okay. So basically, I was just trying to say what is the definition of attitude, right? Then we were generally talking about that what is the benefit of knowing the attitude. I was just telling that today we will discuss that not always attitude is consistent with behavior. वो सारी बातें हम कर रहे थे. ठीक है. Then remember when I was discussing characteristics with you, and in that I clearly specified that one of the chief characteristic of an attitude is that it serves some function for you, and that is why you are carrying a certain attitude. Okay, that's a functional perspective. Good evening, Rimjim. So yeah, so the point here is, good evening to everyone. So the point here is that the attitude that the attitude holder carries is definitely serving some purpose, some function, and that is why you are carrying that attitude. Is that very clear? And that is nothing but the next topic that we are going to take up, the functional perspective of the attitude. So this is a theory which is put forward by Daniel Katz. Daniel Katz has given us a functionalist perspective with respect to attitude, that an attitude holder, right, carries a certain attitude. Why? Because that attitude is serving some function for the attitude holder. Now, do you realize that when we talk about attitude, I told you now, when your values are tied to an object, then it determines your attitude, right? So attitude is about positive or negative evaluation of some people, ideas, object, event. So it has to be related to something, right? So the one person who's carrying the attitude is the attitude holder, whereas the towards the thing of which I am carrying that attitude is my attitude object. So I am the attitude holder, and let us say this pen is the attitude object. Is that very clear? So attitude holder's attitude towards this attitude object, बहुत attitude हो गया ना? Attitude holder's attitude towards this attitude object will determine by the fact what function it is serving for the holder. There are 4 functions. Need satisfaction, knowledge function, ego defensive, value expressive. You can also call this utilitarian. It is serving some utility for us. So that is why it is known as utilitarian. So these are the 4 functions according to Daniel Katz as far as attitude is concerned. Not necessarily that one attitude is going to serve one function only. ऐसा नहीं होता है. It might happen that any particular attitude can also satisfy one or more of these functions. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ एक function satisfy करते हैं. They can do that more than one also. Is that very clear? ठीक है. So functions of attitude, basically there are 4: utilitarian or need satisfaction, knowledge function, ego defensive function, value expressive. So these are the 4 functions. Is that very clear? ठीक है. Now we'll take these topics one by one. The first one is the need satisfaction or utilitarian. Utilitarian in simple words means maximizing your rewards and minimizing your punishment. So maximizing the rewards or minimizing the punishment. This is what I mean when I say utilitarian. My attitude towards the attitude object would be dependent that which attitude would enable me to maximize my rewards and minimize my punishment. Is that very clear? Is it making sense for everyone? For example, there is some XYZ political party, right? And my attitude towards that political party would depend that which attitude is helping me satisfy my needs or maximizing my rewards. Let us say I am an unemployed person, right? So my attitude towards a political party may determined by the fact that which political party is going to provide me welfare benefits. हो सकता है? Let us say I am a corporate house. So my attitude towards XYZ political party would be shaped by the fact that which political party is going to keep my taxes minimum. Are you getting the point? ठीक है, tax sops वगैरह मिलना. ठीक है. So it all depends upon these factors that which attitude of yours is going to maximize your rewards and minimize your punishment. Is it making sense for everyone? ठीक है. Write down. Write down. Many attitudes are formed as a result of past rewards and punishment. Many attitudes are formed as a result of past rewards and punishment for saying and doing things. I'll repeat, many attitudes are formed as a result of past rewards and punishment for saying and doing things. Next, we develop a favorable attitude a positive or a favorable attitude towards the object that aid or reward us, we develop a favorable attitude towards the object which aid or reward us. Once formed, next point, once formed, these attitude helps us, once formed, these attitude continues to help us in maximizing our rewards, continues to help us in maximizing our rewards. I'll repeat, once formed, these attitude, once formed, शांतनु, it can be anything, बहुत सारे नाम बोलते हैं इसको नीड सेटिस्फैक्शन फंक्शन भी कहते हैं, यूटिलिटेरियन भी कहते हैं, हाँ, और इसी के अंडर लिखना है, ठीक है। इसको आप अडैप्टिव फंक्शन भी कह सकते हो, इंस्ट्रूमेंटल भी कह सकते हो, एडजस्टिंग भी कह सकते हो। देयर आर टू मेनी नेम्स फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन। इन सब के लिए एक ही नाम है, बट इसके लिए बहुत सारे हैं। तो अगर आप कभी पढ़ो अडैप्टिव फंक्शन, यूटिलिटेरियन फंक्शन, नीड सेटिस्फैक्शन, वांट सेटिस्फैक्शन, इंस्ट्रूमेंटल, वो सब यही है, ठीक है। हाँ, सो दिस कम्स अंडर हेडिंग ऑफ यूटिलिटेरियन। Once formed, these attitude continues to be useful in maximizing our rewards or reaching our goals, These attitude are termed as adjusted. These attitude are termed as adjusted. मैंने कहा ना, इसको adjustment function भी कह सकते हैं। Adjusted in the sense that they help us to adjust in the life situation. They help us to adjust in the life situation. मैंने कहा ना, सपोज करो योर एटीट्यूड इज शेप्ड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ योर पास्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस ऑफ रिवॉर्ड्स एंड पनिशमेंट फॉर डूइंग और सेइंग समथिंग. यू हैव डन समथिंग फॉर व्हिच यू हैव बीन पनिश्ड, right? So you know that is not supposed to be done. So towards that particular thing which you have done and for which you have been reprimanded, you would not be repeating that thing again, right? Because everybody, that's a human nature. We want to maximize our rewards and we want to minimize our punishments, right? Maximize your gain, minimize your pain. So that is how it works. We all are humans, right? So in that context, it is said that it enables you to adjust in the life situation. Why? Because you are positively disposed towards those things which are pleasurable, which are rewarding, and you are negatively disposed or you are moving away from those things which are painful, which are offering punishment, right? So that is the thing. So it might be called as adjustment function as well. Next. It is referred as utilitarian. It is referred as utilitarian. It is referred as utilitarian since it enables us to reach our goals. Since it enables us to reach our goals. Since it enables us to reach our goals, it can also be referred as utilitarian. Clear? The day it stops fulfilling our need, this attitude, the day our attitude stops fulfilling our need, we will abandon the attitude. I told you, you carry an attitude because it is serving some function for you. One of the function is this need function, utilitarian aspect. The day this attitude stops fulfilling your need, you will abandon the attitude and you will replace it with the new one. Likho. The day it stops fulfilling our need, we will abandon the attitude and replace it with new one. Now you have certain attitude. I'm asking, if I have to change your attitude, what is supposed to be done? I am saying you are carrying a certain attitude because that attitude is serving some need for you, right? Now, if I have to change your attitude, I have two options. One, either I change the need or I suggest an alternative attitude which can help serving the existing need in better manner. Vineet, and replace it with new one. And replace it with new one. Now the thing is, if I want to change your attitude, I have two options available. One, either I change the need. That's the option. Take it. Or I can suggest you an alternative attitude which can help serving your existing need in a better way. Why am I telling you this? You might get a question. What are the functions of attitude, right? Why do people carry a certain attitude? Okay, because it is serving one of these functions. Okay? Or it can be, how can you bring about changes in such attitude? In such a situation, it is very important for you to know how to change an attitude which is serving the need function. So either I can change the need or I can suggest an alternative attitude which can help the serving existing need in a better way. I'll give you an example. Let us say there are two friends, see, and A and B. A is a very prominent environmentalist. He is very much in favor of environmental issues. He always is working to preserve the environment and everything. On the other hand, B, the best friend of A, is basically owning a furniture business which involves cutting of trees. Now, A, being an environmentalist, wants to protect the trees. He wants to protect the forest. On the other hand, B is having a furniture business, right? His economic needs are served by cutting the trees. Now, A has to change this attitude of B. So, A went to B and said, "Yaar bhai, you're doing very wrong. You are not supposed to cut the trees. See, it would lead to deforestation. It would lead to climate change. It would bring about environmental destruction. You should not do all of this. We should preserve the environment. We should work for sustainable development." He was talking about all that thing. We have to preserve the nature and that is all. So the friend says that, "Do you realize I am into furniture business?" He said, "Agar ghoda घास से दोस्ती करेगा तो क्या खाएगा?" Did you get my point, what he says? So then he said, ki, nahi, my economic needs, how will it be served if I'll start caring about the trees and everything? So then he said, ki, nahi, and by the way, ye environmental destruction kab hoga and ye climate change or temperature increase kab tak hoga? Another 50 years to theek hai na, I and my family can survive. So then obviously the friend was taken aback. He's like, he is just not ready to listen, yaar. His primacy is on the economic needs. Then how should I change the attitude? He's just not ready to change his need. So he is not ready to change the need. Here the need was the economic need of the friend which was getting served by the furniture business, that is by cutting the trees. So he was very indifferent towards the environment because that indifferent attitude towards the environment was enabling him to serve his economic needs. So he was not caring about it. But the friend thought, ki, let me suggest him an alternative attitude which can serve his existing need better. So then he said, who are your clients, by the way? He said, nahi, nahi, aa jaate hain. How many people do you cater every day? And then he started, talking about, he started whining, are, you don't know these customers, they ask for so much of discount and there is no margin, I'm not able to. He said, I have a better idea for you, a better business idea. He said, what? Have you heard of a concept called green furniture, in which you don't have to cut the trees and everything? This is basically made from recycled metal, plastics, bamboos, which are already available, right? So he said there is a concept called green furniture. And do you know that who all are interested in purchasing green furniture? They are those, upper middle class, rich people, enlightened people who are concerned about the environment, and they would not even bargain also. So instead of focusing on the quantity, you can mint more money by focusing on the quality. Even if you sell 2 furniture in a day, you will mint more profit as compared to what you were initially earning. So then he said, अच्छा ये बात तो ठीक है यार, मतलब this attitude which I have, if I change this attitude towards green furniture, it can help serve my economic need better. He said, fine, let's do this. Was the friend able to change the attitude? Yes, he was. How did he do that? He did it by suggesting an alternative attitude which can serve your existing need better. So either you change the need only. आप उसको ये बता दो यार पैसा मोह माया है, पैसे में कुछ नहीं रखा है, ठीक है? We should be concerned more about environment. So you change the need only. So from hedonism, you shift him to the altruism, right? So matlab, the person who is thinking about the larger world, make him a good human being and thinking about altruistic aspects of life rather than materialistic, right? So या तो वो कर लो, वो करना थोड़ा मुश्किल है, right? So the other option is alternative attitude. Is this very clear? I'll give you one more example to explain, and then you tell me whether you have understood or not. Now, time and again, there are many people who demand reservation. Now, generally, why do people need reservation? We have discussed reservation topic in society. So we know why people need reservation, because reservation is going to provide them access to government jobs. Let us say, why do people need government jobs? Because there is existence of job security in the government jobs. Why do people need security in the job? Ultimately, because it ensures income security, right? So you need reservation because you want income security. So that need of income security has enabled people, or that is one of the prime reason why people are demanding reservation. Is this very clear? Okay. Now I have two options. I have to change the attitude of people with respect to reservation. So again, I have two options. Either I change your need only, or I can suggest an alternative attitude which can serve your existing need better. Your need is of job security. Your need is you want government jobs, because in government job there is security which overall will guarantee income security. Now, if I change your need by saying that security doesn't lie in government jobs, doesn't exist in government jobs, but in your skills. The more skilled you will be, the more secured your future would be. So either I change your need only, where I convince you that you have to be talented, you need to be skilled, the opportunities would be available for you. So government jobs will not guarantee security, right? It is the security lies in your skills. No matter, even if you get the reservation, there is no guarantee that you will be getting the job. So if you want that job security, so that job security would not be guaranteed through reservation. That job security can be guaranteed through your skills. काबिल बनो, कामयाबी खुद आएगी. Right? This is the dialogue. So did you understand? However, on the other hand, I can say, that ultimately you want income security. That is your need. So for income security, why are you only focusing on reservation? If my agriculture develops, if self-employment opportunity develops, if there is expansion of manufacturing industries, your income security need can be served better. So if I create the importance of making agriculture lucrative, if I create importance of promoting self-employment opportunities, if I create importance of expansion of manufacturing industries, then I can provide an alternative attitude to serve the existing need better. Is that very clear? So income security was the, क्या हो रहा है यार? एक second. Income security is the need. So income security can also be served through making agriculture lucrative or self-employment opportunities को expand करना. Is that very clear? Are you understanding my point, what I'm just trying to say? Right? So all I'm trying to say is you carry, so whether your attitude towards reservation is positive or not depends upon whether it is serving the utility for you or not. There are certain section of people who would not be positively disposed towards reservation. They have their own reasons, and there would be certain people in the community who will be positively disposed towards reservation because it is serving some purpose for them. So that is the utilitarian function of the attitude that you carry. Is this very clear for everyone? Is it making sense? Can I proceed now? Can I move to the next topic? Are you guys writing the examples which I'm giving in the class? चाहे वो political parties का हो, चाहे वो environmentalist friend का हो, चाहे वो with respect to reservation हो. ठीक है? Wherever you don't understand something, just ask. Next, knowledge function. Knowledge function. Knowledge function. It's a very interesting function of the attitude. Sometimes we do carry an attitude because it helps us to understand the complex realities of life. कभी कभी क्या होता है, you don't understand what is happening around you, right? So you don't understand how the world is operating. There is too much complexities in the world. You want to make sense out of everything. Suppose some event has happened. एक normal सी बात है. Some XYZ event has happened. You want to know what can be the possible cause of that event. Because the more you understand what can be the reason behind the event, it will give you a sense of understanding. You will not be in no man's land. You will understand, acha, this is happening because of this factor. Did you get the point? So the attitude that you hold sometimes is serving this function of knowledge. Okay. I'll give you an example to explain it better. How should I put it? Knowledge function. Okay. Let us say that you went to an engineering college. Okay. And in your college, some particular stream, let's pick up, and you saw the amount of girls are very less in your class. So that was a challenge. Okay. Or let us say you are doing your graduation in mathematics. Okay. I'll take this example. So you're doing your graduation in mathematics, and when you entered the classroom, you realize there are a handful of girls. However, you thought, yeah, school में तो class में बराबर पे थी लड़कियां. I remember, मतलब I don't know about you guys, but I still remember हम 40-50 students होते थे एक class में, and the ratio of girls and boys were almost the same. ठीक है. And so the point here is, but when you go to college, obviously if it is not a girls college like mine, so if you go to a college, you would realize that in these technical fields, for example engineering, usme bhi civil engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, right? Are you getting my point? Or for that matter mathematics, you would not find girls. ठीक है. अब now you wanted to understand this complex reality. या स्कूल में तो बराबर में थी यार लड़कियां क्लास में, यहां क्यों नहीं दिख रही हैं? Did you get my point? ठीक है. तो फिर you started thinking that maybe girls were studying mathematics in school as a matter of fact that they had no other option. But I think girls are not good with mathematics. That is why they don't want to pursue it further. How do you know girls are not good with mathematics? Did you ask every girl? Did you see every girl in India? I'm just giving example in context of India. Did you go saw their marks at a very individual level? No, you didn't. But this attitude that maybe girls are not good with mathematics, it made you understand that acha, that is the reason why girls are not there. What I'm just trying to say is that this knowledge function not necessarily providing you the truthful picture. कोई गारंटी नहीं होता कि ये नॉलेज फंक्शन हमेशा आपको सच दिखाता है. The thing is, this knowledge function enables you to understand what is happening around. That's it. There is no guarantee that it is providing you the truthful picture or it is just providing you a facade or a farce. So ये कुछ नहीं होता. The only thing which you need to understand is that it enables you to understand the complex realities of the life. It enables you to attach a cause behind the event. That's it. Is that very clear? It makes your life simple because now you are no longer confused. You have arrived at an assumption that maybe girls are not good with mathematics. Is this very clear? Are you getting the point? You saw that ये Ola, Uber, we are talking about gender equality. ठीक है, but हमने Ola, Uber वगैरह में देखा that there are very less female drivers. There are more क्या मतलब 90% cases में there are male drivers and very less female drivers. तो कौन ये पूरी बात समझे that you know there is patriarchy and there is pink collar job concept, there are certain jobs which are not considered fit for girls. उतना डिटेल में कौन पढ़ाई करेगा? हर कोई यूपीएससी की तैयारी तो कर नहीं रहा. तो सबसे आसान तरीका क्या था अज्यूम करने का? गर्ल्स आर नॉट गुड ड्राइवर्स, दे कैन नॉट ड्राइव कार. दैट इज व्हाई यू विल नॉट फाइंड गर्ल ड्राइवर्स. आपने ये नहीं सोचा, यू डिडंट ट्राई टू गेट इनटू द रियलिटी दैट मे बी दे आर नॉट बीइंग टॉट हाउ टू ड्राइव. Maybe it is perceived they are more fit for domestic chores. Maybe driving is considered as a male activity, right? Maybe there exists sexual division of activities. ये सब हमने नहीं सोचा. हमने एक attitude develop कर लिया, girls are not good at driving. Because that attitude is helping you understand why don't you find girl drivers. Is this very clear? Is it making sense? ठीक है? Is this clear? लिखो लिखो. Attitude helps the attitude holder. See, I'm making you write all of this क्योंकि अगर डायरेक्ट ये आपके सिलेबस का पार्ट है, ठीक है? So it is a direct part of your syllabus. So it is very important that you should know all these things because you can get a direct question. ठीक है? इसलिए attitude help attitude holder. Attitude help attitude holder to organize and interpret. Attitude help the attitude holder to organize and interpret diverse set of information. To organize and interpret diverse set of information. They provide consistency and clarity. They provide consistency and clarity in our explanation and understanding of events. I'll repeat. They provide consistency and clarity in our explanation and understanding of events. The knowledge function of the attitude, the knowledge function of the attitude does not imply the knowledge function of the attitude does not imply that attitude provides us a factually truthful picture of the world around us. Provides us a factually truthful picture of the world around us. It does not imply that attitude provides us a factually truthful picture of the world around us. In fact, it provides us a picture that is meaningful. It provides us a picture that is meaningful. At least you are able to understand what's happening around. Okay? It provides us a picture that is meaningful. Such attitude are likely to change. Such attitude are likely to change in situations. Such attitudes are likely to change in situation where it becomes difficult, for the attitude holder, to continue with the existing attitude. ठीक है? For example, इसी टॉपिक को कंटिन्यू करते हैं. Girls are not good with mathematics. You have this attitude in order to understand why there is less female representation. However, when you went to the college, you had some, like, let us say 4 or 5 teachers, and there was one female teacher, rest were male teachers. Let us take this example. However, you found that it was the female teacher who you considered to be the most knowledgeable and efficient out of the lot. Did you get my point? I am providing you a counter information that, see, there is a women faculty who is most knowledgeable in mathematics as compared to others. So it's a counter information which I am providing you, right? And I am providing you counter information on a sustainable basis. For example, although in your class there were only 3 girls, you were, let us say, a class of 100 people studying mathematics, but there were only 3 girls in your class. However, those 3 girls topped the university exam. Again, I have provided you a counter information. Your information was girls are not good with mathematics. I have provided you a counter information that the girls only have topped in your class, and not only in your class, in your university. I provided a counter information where the female faculty was the most knowledgeable and the efficient out of the lot. I am providing you examples of various women who have been very proficient in the field of mathematics. Did you get the point? So if I am continuously providing on a sustainable basis counter information, then in the long run, your existing attitude will change. No longer you will say girls are not good with mathematics. Now you will start thinking that what can be the possible reason why girls are not represented in the field of mathematics? Because it has nothing to do with gender. It is all to do with individual capabilities. Did you get the point? So when for the attitude holder to hold on to the existing attitude becomes a challenge, then you change your attitude. And when it will become a challenge, when I will provide you counter-attitudinal information on a sustainable basis, then you will have to change your attitude. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? For example, let me give you one more simple example. Let us say I believed, ठीक है, I believe good things happen to good people. This is my belief. I believe that good things happen to good people. However, there was a person XYZ. A bad thing happened to him. As a result, I assumed without even knowing who is XYZ. I don't even know who the person is. I don't know what is the character of the person. But I have always this belief that good, अच्छे लोगों के साथ हमेशा अच्छा होता है. तो अगर किसी के साथ बुरा हुआ है, इसका मतलब वो इंसान ही बुरा है. So because this was my belief that good things happen to good people, so if something bad has happened to someone, without any fail, I realize that maybe that person is only bad. Did you get my point? However, if I'm providing you counter-attitudinal information that this XYZ person is very good, he's very compassionate, he has done such good social work, he's a person of integrity, and I'm giving you counter-attitudinal information so that after a certain point, your attitude towards this person is no longer justified, then you will have to change your attitude. Is this very clear? Is this clear? Write down. In such situation, आपने ये लाइन लिख ली थी ना, such attitudes are likely to change when it becomes difficult for the attitude holder to continue with the existing attitude. In such situation, attitude holder has no option. In such situation, attitude holder has no option but to change their attitude in order to be more logical. Change their attitude in order to be more logical. Hence, with availability of information, and sustained availability, with availability of information and sustained availability of information, it will lead to beginning of internalization process. It will lead to beginning of internalization process. It will lead to beginning of internalization process. Did you get the point? और ये बेस्ट तरीका होता है अगर कोई आपसे पूछे कि किसी के प्रति अगर कोई स्टीरियोटाइप है उसे कैसे सही करें, तो ऐसे ही सही करेंगे. अगर आप किसी रेस के प्रति, किसी एथनिक ग्रुप के प्रति, किसी कास्ट ग्रुप के प्रति, किसी रिलीजियस ग्रुप के प्रति, whichever, if you have a stereotype, how can it be corrected? By providing information which is counter to the existing attitude on a sustainable basis, because then it will become difficult for me to continue holding that attitude. Is this very clear? So this is the thing which can be ensured in cases of stereotyping. क्योंकि stereotyping is a perfect example of knowledge function of the attitude. Stereotype का क्या मतलब होता है? बताया था ना मैंने, over generalized, where you don't even know the individual person, but just to reduce that effort of knowing the individual person, you have created the stereotype because that person belongs to a certain community. Is that very clear? ठीक है, क्योंकि वो इंडिविजुअल को तो आप जानते नहीं और आप कितने इंडिविजुअल्स को ढूंढोगे जाकर, तो आप एक लेबल लगा देते हो कि ये तो ऐसे ही है, बिकॉज दे बिलोंग टू अ सर्टेन कम्युनिटी. व्हाई? because it will save you some time and it will also enable you to understand the complex realities of the world. So stereotyping, write down, stereotyping is an example of knowledge function of the attitude. Stereotyping, मुस्कान, बिगिनिंग ऑफ इंटरनलाइजेशन प्रोसेस, इंटरनलाइज करने लगते हो कि जो योर एग्जिस्टिंग एटीट्यूड इज दैट इज रॉन्ग. सो बिगिनिंग ऑफ इंटरनलाइजेशन प्रोसेस. सो लास्ट लाइन, हाँ लास्ट पॉइंट रिपीट कर रही हूं मैं. स्टीरियोटाइपिंग इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नॉलेज फंक्शन ऑफ एटीट्यूड. Stereotyping is an example of knowledge function of attitude. Full stop. Stereotyping is an example of knowledge function of attitude. Full stop. Using stereotypes to make sense of people using stereotypes. रिमझिम, इट्स एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नॉलेज फंक्शन ऑफ एटीट्यूड. मैं आपको बच्चे की एग्जाम्पल दे रही हूं. अब मैंने स्टीरियोटाइप बोल दिया ना, तो अगर एग्जाम में कुछ भी आता है, तो चाहे वो रेस हो, चाहे वो कास्ट हो, चाहे वो रिलीजन हो, चाहे वो जेंडर हो, यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर बिकॉज नाउ यू विल रिमेंबर कि स्टीरियोटाइप इज एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नॉलेज फंक्शन ऑफ एटीट्यूड. ठीक है. यूजिंग स्टीरियोटाइप्स, ये इसके बाद का स्टेटमेंट है. यूजिंग स्टीरियोटाइप्स to make sense of people, using stereotypes to make sense of people is quick and requires minimum mental effort and requires using stereotypes to make sense of people is quick and requires minimal mental effort which is advantageous in complicated and fast moving world. Which is advantageous in complicated and fast moving world. Which is advantageous in complicated and fast moving world. कितना अच्छा ना, इंडिविजुअल को जानने की जरूरत ही नहीं लगी इंसान को. एक स्टीरियोटाइप था, क्विक जजमेंट पे वी अराइव्ड, वी अंडरस्टूड एंड वी आर मूविंग अहेड. डिड यू गेट द पॉइंट? दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. Is it making sense for everyone? Can I proceed? Third, ego defensive attitude. Ego defensive attitude. I need to defend my ego. That is why I am carrying a certain attitude. I need to defend my self-respect, my self-esteem. That is why I am carrying a certain attitude. When you don't get grapes, then you say grapes are sour. Did you get the point? I lost a match. I was playing a sport and I lost. And then I said, instead of accepting the defeat or, instead of showing that sportsmanship spirit, I said, oh, please, I was never interested in this sport only. I was never, ever interested. Ye to for just, I don't know. I don't feel like playing this sport any longer. Why? Because I want to preserve that image of mine, which I believe now I am getting embarrassed. My self-image which I have created might get attacked. This is in my head, right? कोई मुझे attack करने नहीं आ रहा, but that's in my head, right? That if I have lost this sports match, so my self-image which I have created, my self-esteem which is there is going to get tarnished. It is going to get attacked. So to defend my self-esteem from different arrows of life, I started saying, oh please, I was never interested in this sport only. There was an experience in school. Let us say there was a physical education class and in which you got humiliated due to some or the other factor. So in order to protect that self-image, you develop that attitude of hate, negative attitude towards sports only. Why? Because you wanted to protect your self-esteem from different arrows of life. Right? Did you get my point? Ego defensive attitude. Bilkul, bilkul. Suppose I made an investment and that investment failed, right? So now, in order to protect that self-image, I will say, oh, please, I was never interested in making that investment. It was because of a person's advice that I made this investment. That a person has given me poor advice and that is why I have failed. Otherwise, मैं तो कभी ऐसा investment करती ही नहीं. Did you get the point? I'll give you another example. You are a senior position holder. You are a senior manager in your company. There is a young manager who has joined and the person is time and again questioning the work that you are doing or questioning the decisions that you are doing. And maybe he's right also, because maybe your decisions have not been efficient in everything. But then you have to protect your self-image. How can you accept that a younger person is giving you better advice? So now you are saying, oh, this person is totally brash. He's inexperienced. He doesn't know how to respect the seniors. Are he will not go anywhere in this organization. Did you get the point? That is ego defensive attitude. And it is very difficult. अभी तक मैंने दोनों चीजें आपको बताई थी, वो easily change हो सकती थी. ठीक है ना? Need change कर दो, alternative attitude suggest कर दो, या इसमें आप alternative information provide karao on a sustainable basis. Very difficult to change ego defensive attitude. Why? Because the problem lies in your personality. Did you get my point? Okay? Here the problem is personality. You are not ready to accept your mistakes. That's the problem. Is it making sense for everyone out there? हाँ रिमझिम, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, I totally agree. ठीक है? So I am happy that you guys understood. ठीक है? For example, एक और example देती हूँ, smoking. ठीक है? It's an established fact. It's a thing which is injurious to health. Everyone knows that. And everyone also knows it is socially unacceptable to smoke. भाई सोसाइटी में तो मना होता है ना, यू वन शुड नॉट स्मोक, ड्रिंक और च्यू पान मसाला. ठीक है? सो दीज आर हैबिट्स विच वन शुड नॉट डू. राइट? इट्स एन एक्सेप्टेड फैक्ट कि सोशली smoking is unacceptable. It is another established fact that smoking is injurious to health. Yet person smokes. आप पूरे प्रवचन दे रहे हो और बराबर से स्मोक कर रहे हो. But then you have to preserve your self-image. Then what will you say? I am in a very stressful situation. That is why I'm smoking. Till the time I don't smoke, I cannot come with new ideas. Because in front of your juniors, let us say, I'm giving you an example, you have to create that image that, look, I know this is injurious to health. I know this is socially unacceptable. Yet I'm doing it because there is a larger purpose. I can't think. My mind doesn't work. My creativity stems from the fact when I smoke. And the most important thing, all people, all great personalities, and I'll give you some random examples of great personalities who have been chain smokers, just to protect my self-image. Is this very clear for everyone? So this is how it works. Yes, Ashish. Rimjim, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. The blame culture. When you don't accept your defeat and you start blaming that there was some tampering with the EVMs or there is some tampering with any technology or there is something, that is a perfect example of ego defensive attitude. Okay? Right now. Attitude help us to enhance our self-esteem. Attitude helps us to enhance our self-esteem. And defend us against various arrows of life. Attitude helps us to enhance our self-esteem and defend us against various arrows of life. Prejudiced attitude are often used. Prejudiced attitude are often used as a crutch. या ये लाइन छोड़ भी सकते थे. Prejudiced attitudes are often used as a crutch to bolster your self-esteem. To bolster your self-esteem. खुद को better feel कराने के लिए you develop prejudiced attitude towards others. So prejudiced attitude also acts as a crutch to bolster your self-esteem. This attitude is held to justify the actions. This attitude is held to justify the actions which can make us guilty. This attitude is held to justify the actions which can make us feel guilty. These defenses are often used by those who are insecure and anxious. These defenses are often used by those who are Prasant. Yes. These defenses are often used by those who are anxious and insecure. For example, let us say I didn't clear UPSC, right? And then I come and say, oh please, I was never interested in UPSC only. I was just taking this exam for fun. I invested 5 years of my life preparing for this exam just to have fun. I was never interested in preparing for UPSC. Obviously, that's not right. I did prepare to clear UPSC because I was interested. That's the other side of the story that I didn't manage to clear. And there's nothing wrong in it. There are many of us who prepare for this exam. However, handful of us clear this exam. There's nothing wrong in not clearing the exam. The wrong thing is when you become defensive. That I was never interested. Accept the fact that you made certain mistakes. You were not at your best while giving the exam. Your strategy might have gone wrong. Your optional selection might have had gone wrong. That day you wrote the paper, your day didn't go well. Your selection of topic was not well. It can be multiple factors that you didn't clear the exam. But when you say that I invested 5 years and I was just having fun and I was not interested in this exam, I'm sorry. You being defensive in this context. Did you understand what I'm just trying to say? Okay. Next. Very difficult to change this attitude. Very difficult to change this attitude as it stems from individual's personality. Very difficult to change this attitude as it stems from individual's personality. These attitude are held unconsciously. आप realize भी नहीं करते हो और आप defensive हो जाते हो. ठीक है? So ये आपकी मतलब somehow we have always been taught to be at best of our performance. We always want to be known and seen by the people in our best phases of life. So बहुत pressure होता है to perform. Right? So it becomes very difficult to accept mistakes. It becomes very difficult to accept defeat. You really need to be an evolved person. You need to be emotionally intelligent person. Right? So that becomes a challenge. Is this very clear? So write down. These kind of attitudes are held unconsciously. These kind of attitudes are held unconsciously. It protects us. It protects us from acknowledging, it protects us from acknowledging the basic truth about ourselves. It protects us from acknowledging the basic truth about ourselves. In order to change this attitude, in order to change this attitude, we need to provide an environment to the individual. We need to provide an environment to the individual where the person feels valued. Where the person feels valued. Valued as in you are showing unconditional positive regard to the individual. So create an environment where individual feels valued. Unconditional positive regard matlab irrespective of class, caste, gender, ethnicity, anything, the position, the employment position in the organization, irrespective of that, you are providing the person positive regard. You are creating such a conducive ecosystem that the person is feeling valued. Automatically, the person will lower the defenses and will show the innermost feeling, whatever it is. Is that very clear? So here, the attitude is not stemming from the attitude object. The problem lies with the attitude holder. So you have to bring the changes with respect to attitude holder. So you have to provide an environment where the person is truly feeling respected, truly feeling valued, where he knows that the person will not be judged on the basis of these factors. Automatically the person will lower the defenses. Okay? Write down. The last thing that you wrote, provide an environment in which the individual feels truly valued and therefore shows readiness to lower his defenses, and explore the innermost feeling. Explore his innermost feelings. ठीक है? That is, provide them empathy, unconditional positive regards. That is, providing them empathy or unconditional positive regards. Unconditional positive regards. Unconditional positive regards. Last function, value expressive. See, यहां पे हम अपने ईगो को डिफेंड कर रहे थे, यहां पे हम अपने वैल्यूज को एक्सप्रेस कर रहे हैं. इट कैन ऑल्सो बी नोन एज ईगो एक्सप्रेसिव. तो देयर इज अनदर नेम. आप इसे वैल्यू एक्सप्रेसिव भी कह सकते हो और ईगो एक्सप्रेसिव भी कह सकते हो. ठीक है. Here you are promoting your self-esteem. Whatever are your core values, you are promoting those core values. I'll give you an example. Let us say you are an individual in the organization and your core values are freedom. Freedom is your core value. Now, in different situations, through your attitude, through your behavior, you will tell the world that you value freedom. For example, if there is any debate with respect to whether there should be a flexible work schedule or not in the organization, you will proactively stand for it. You will be positively disposed towards it. You will be vocal about it. Nahin, the flexible work schedule should be there. Why? Because your core value is freedom. You value freedom. Similarly, you will also vouch for democratic decentralization of authority in the organization. Why? Because you stand for it. You will stand for it, that when you will say that nahi, there should not be any fixed dress code. Are freedom hai, wear whatever you want to wear. Are you getting my point? So whatever is your core value, you will express it through your actions. So वहां पे हम अपने सेल्फ को एस्टीम को प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे थे, डिफेंड कर रहे थे. यहां हम अपने सेल्फ एस्टीम को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. आई एम टेलिंग द वर्ल्ड अबाउट माई कोर वैल्यू सिस्टम. Neha, I'll answer by saying that you don't need to defend yourself. I'll just say you don't need to defend yourself. Perception of me is reflection of you, and my reaction to you is my sense of awareness. ऐसे का टॉपिक था ना इस बार नेहा, ठीक है. If the other person is disrespecting you, ठीक है, you don't need to defend yourself, because more than you, it is showing their character. If the other person is disrespecting you, are you getting my point? So perception of me is reflection of you, and my reaction to you is my sense of awareness. Did you get the point? ठीक है, क्या है? And explore, क्या? Explore क्या? ठीक, वैल्यू एक्सप्रेसिव लिखो. रिमेंबर मैंने आप लोग को एक एग्जाम्पल भी दिया था आपके कोटेशन वाली टी शर्ट्स, ठीक है. सो दैट इज यू आर टेलिंग द वर्ल्ड, लुक दिस इज माई वैल्यू सिस्टम. ठीक है, आपके व्हाट्सएप वगैरह पे स्टेटस जो होता है, ठीक है, सो वो जो आप अपना स्टेटस लगाते हो या कोई कोटेशन लिखते हो, सो दैट इज देयर. ठीक, राइट डाउन. Value expressive function. It helps a person establish his identity. It helps a person establish his identity It helps a person establish his identity, which conveys to himself as well as others, which conveys to himself it helps a person establish his identity, which conveys to himself and others the kind of person he is. Conveys to himself as well as others the kind of person he is. Next point, ये जो value expressive function है, it also helps in image management, perception management. ठीक है, write down. It helps us in the exercise of impression management or image management. It helps us in the exercise of impression management. They are also very difficult to change. They are also very difficult to change because they are deeply entrenched in your personality. They are also very difficult to change because they are deeply entrenched in the individual personality. Next, the attitude changes only when either the value system has changed, okay, so the attitude changes only when the individual value has changed, the individual value has changed, or the new attitude or the new attitude will express, the new attitude will express the underlying value system better. The new attitude will express the underlying value system better. Last, it helps us communicating who we are. It helps us communicating who we are. It helps us communicating who we are and also makes us feel good. Also makes us feel good because we are able to assert our identity. It also makes us feel good because we are able to assert our identity. Quotation on t-shirts वगैरह, ठीक है, status on the social media platforms, right? Or I gave you the example that if you're working in an organization and your core value is freedom, then what will you do? Okay? So how through your actions in different situation, it will show it to the other person that your core value is freedom. So it will get communicated, that's for sure. Clear hai? So with this, the functions of attitude comes to an end. The next topic that we are taking up is attitude behavior consistency. इतना लिखो, देन आई विल एक्सप्लेन एवरीथिंग. हाँ, Ashish, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, through these values, one can predict what kind of personality an individual has and how the person is going to behave in the future. बिल्कुल कह सकते हैं. Yes, we can say that. Akshay, okay, ma'am, I did not understand the difference between the knowledge and the need satisfaction. Okay, let me think of an example to make you understand the difference. Okay. I have a certain attitude. Okay, I have an attitude. मैं same example देती हूँ women का in both the context to help you understand the difference. This is for Akshay. Okay, Akshay, I have an attitude towards girls where I want to confine them to certain sections or certain stream of education. Let us say humanities. ठीक है. I don't want them to access technical education. Why? Because kahin na kahin technical education requires money. It's expensive. So I don't want that to happen. Because it is helping me serving my one need better. It will ensure my hegemony over the women. Did you get the point? Okay. So I am not letting women access technical education. I can invest money in the education of a boy. I am not ready to invest money in the education of girl because I believe that that investment will continue to ensure my hegemony over women. Did you get my point? So it is serving that need better. It is utilitarian for me. It is maximizing my reward. My reward was to maintain my hegemony in the society. On the contrary, my attitude that women are not good only in technical field. Why I have that attitude? Because it is serving a knowledge that why you don't find women in the technical field. Did I bother to think that maybe women is not there in the technical field because somebody wants to hegemonize over them? Somebody doesn't want to invest in the education of women because women are considered as paraya dhan. Did I bother to think in that context? No. कौन इतनी पढ़ाई करे, कौन इतना दिमाग दे? It is so easy to have one attitude which says, "अरे, women are not good with technical field. They don't have the acumen to do good in the technical field." आपने ये गलत attitude develop कर लिया और हो गया. Stereotyping कर दिया आपने. Did you understand? Sorry शांतनु. Sorry. ठीक है. किसने सवाल पूछा था? अक्षय ने. अक्षय बच्चे अब समझ आया? नहीं समझ आया तो मैं और दे दूंगी एग्जाम्पल, बट मेरे को अभी बताओ समझ आया कि नहीं. हाउ वन हैज अक्वायर्ड द एटीट्यूड. किसने पूछा ये? दिव्यांश ने. दिव्यांश बच्चे, हाउ वन हैज अक्वायर्ड द एटीट्यूड, दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. Do you want me to read anything? I'm saying attitude, behavior, consistency, background, factors affecting the consistency. Then individual, situational factor, attitude, strength. High on self-monitoring, low on self-monitoring, attitude as heuristic, bandwagon effect. Attitude, specificity, relevance, accessibility, how one has acquired the attitude. अक्षय ने पूछा था ना, बच्चे समझ आया? Girdhar, I have read the lines. Did you understand now? अक्षय, थिंकिंग, यही तो मैं कह रही हूं. एटीट्यूड इसीलिए तो डेवलप होता है दैट इट इज सर्विंग सम फंक्शन फॉर यू. थिंकिंग से ही तो एटीट्यूड आया. इट इज योर थॉट प्रोसेस ना बच्चे, तभी तो एटीट्यूड डेवलप होगा. दिस इज द एटीट्यूड ऑब्जेक्ट. right? This is the attitude object. Now, what attitude I will have towards this attitude object will be based on the fact that what purpose it is serving for me. ठीक है, या तो it is with respect to rewards and punishment, that's one purpose. So that is my need function. The other purpose is to understand the situation which is existing. For example, every now and then we are talking about, अच्छा एक और example देती हूँ. There was an example, All India Survey for Higher Education report was there. Akshay, this is for you. There was a report by All India Survey for Higher Education. It said, with respect to higher education, the enrollment in girls has exceeded that of boys. Matlab, now the gender parity is more than 1. That means it is favorable for girls. So overall, enrollment of girls in the higher education has increased as compared to boys. However, with respect to national or institutes for national prominence, matlab the institutes or the institution which provides technical, professional skills, the enrollment of girls is less than that of boys. अब ये फैक्ट है और आपको समझना है कि ऐसा क्यों है कि ओवरऑल तो यार जेंडर पैरिटी आ गई है, ओवरऑल तो नंबर ऑफ गर्ल्स का एनरोलमेंट, सॉरी यार अब थोड़ा तो स्क्रीन पे दिखने दो, आई होप तुमने लिख लिया होगा, ठीक है. सो द पॉइंट हियर इज, अब आपके दिमाग में अक्षय आएगा, अरे यार ये गर्ल्स में तो पैरिटी आ गई है, जेंडर पैरिटी, गर्ल्स का एनरोलमेंट हायर एजुकेशन में हैज एक्सीडेड दैट ऑफ मेन बॉयज. बट देन व्हाई इज इट दैट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंस्टीट्यूशंस ऑफ नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस, मतलब द इंस्टीट्यूशंस व्हिच प्रोवाइड्स यू टेक्निकल स्किल्स, प्रोफेशनल स्किल्स, द गर्ल्स एनरोलमेंट इज लेस एज कंपेयर्ड टू बॉयज? हमने क्या इस कॉम्प्लेक्स रियलिटी को समझना था. I have to understand. So I developed an attitude, maybe girls are not interested in technical skills. Maybe they don't have the IQ for technical skills. Maybe they are more suitable for certain kind of jobs or certain kind of streams. So that is enabling you to understand this complexity. But that does not mean it provides you a truthful picture. It is only enabling you to understand this complexity. आप उस भसड़ में गए नहीं कि उनको एडमिशन क्यों नहीं ले रहे हैं वो लोग, आप चाहते नहीं हो वो आगे काम करें, यू डोंट वांट टू इन्वेस्ट इन देयर एजुकेशन, देयर कैन बी टू मेनी फैक्टर्स, बट देन यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? आकांक्षा, सिचुएशनल में लिखा है एटीट्यूड एज ह्यूरिस्टिक एंड बैंड वैगन इफेक्ट. अब समझ आया? तो ये डिपेंड करता है कि आपका पर्पस क्या है. आपको सिचुएशन को समझना है तो आपने वो एटीट्यूड डेवलप करा, देन इट इज बेस्ड ऑन नॉलेज फंक्शन. या आपको अपने रिवॉर्ड्स को मैक्सिमाइज करना है तो आपने एटीट्यूड डेवलप करा, तो दैट इज नीड फंक्शन. एज सिंपल एज दैट. इज दिस क्लियर? अगर अभी भी नहीं समझ आया है तो क्लास के बाद फिर पूछ लेना, मैं फिर समझा दूंगी. देखो सिंपल सी चीज है, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक एटीट्यूड एक ही फंक्शन सर्व करता है. पहली चीज आपको यह देखना है कि आप किस चीज को सॉल्व करना चाह रहे हो, and based on that you have developed the attitude. So whether you want to understand the situation which is existing or you want to maximize your rewards, you will develop the attitude. अच्छा, you understood. ठीक है, चलो. Now can we proceed? Attitude, behavior, consistency. अब मुझे ये मिटाना पड़ेगा, एक सेकंड रुको. चलो, लेट्स स्टार्ट. बिहेवियर. अभी मुझे लिखने दो, तुम लोग मत लिखना. Since attitude is a specific determinant of behavior, so it is expected that there will be consistency between attitude and behavior. First example, I have a prejudice. Let us say, I se mera matlab hai, I'm giving you an example. Let us say a person A has a prejudice against certain community. Okay. And since person A has a prejudice against a certain community, he has decided not to rent the accommodation to that person. Is the attitude consistent with the behavior? Yes, it is. Think about it. Person A has a prejudice against people of certain community. Hence, decided not to rent the accommodation to them. लिखो ये पूरा एग्जाम्पल. So here attitude is consistent with the behavior. Second example. Let us say you detest corrupt people. That's one attitude. You detest them. However, in the election, you voted for the most corrupt person just because that corrupt person belongs to your community. So now here two attitudes were existing. One, you detest corrupt people. You don't like corrupt people. However, there was another attitude which said the interest of community needs to be promoted. So when you have two conflicting attitudes, so the attitude which is more strong will determine your behavior. Did you get the point? Did you get the point? कुछ हुआ है क्या? क्या हो गया भैया? Did you understand what I'm trying to say here? Let us say you have two attitude existing. I'm giving you different examples. मैं background create कर रही हूँ, फिर हम उस topic पे जाएंगे. So the background which I'm creating here is one, attitude is consistent with behavior. I gave you an example. There is another example where you have two different attitude. Both the attitude cannot be consistent with the behavior because they are conflicting attitude. एक तरफ you are saying that you don't like corrupt people, that is your attitude. However, in your behavior, you have voted for the most corrupt person. The reason was the person was belonging to your community. So keep writing these examples. Examples को dictate करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So I just hope that you're writing it somewhere. क्योंकि whenever you will be revising, because mains के पहले ethics की जरूरत पड़ेगी. So whenever you will be revising, तुमको याद आ जाएगा. अच्छा इस context में कहा था. ठीक है. Third, where attitude is not behavior, not consistent with the behavior. There is a study which was done by Corey. I think that study was done in 1937. Year is not important, but I'm generally saying that there was a study which was done by Corey. And it was done with respect to the attitude towards cheating. Very interesting study, let me tell you. So क्या हुआ कि क्लास में पूछा स्टूडेंट्स से, there were around 50 students were there. So it was asked in the class, what is your opinion about cheating? So all 50 of them said, no, cheating is absolutely wrong. One should not do cheating. It is the very wrong practice and this and that. So one thing was clear, that the students' attitude towards cheating was clear, that they are not in favor of cheating. So there was an exam, test was conducted. It was like a true and false kind of test. There were some 20-25 questions. And the teacher said that after the last period, we will do self-evaluation. I will read out the answer and you have to self-correct. बात खत्म हो गई. However, in the break period, the teacher was very smart. The teacher came and very confidentially he evaluated the scripts. He finally knew which student has scored how much marks. So after the 8th period, हमारे 8 period होते थे school में, I don't remember. So I'm generally saying that after the last period, the teacher came and asked the students, read out the answers, true, false, and asked them to do self-correction. There were 2-3 students who have like performed really bad. Okay, so when the teacher asked in the class, how much have you scored, how much have you scored, how much have you scored, so the people who performed badly, they lied about their performance. टीचर को तो पहले ही पता था उसको कितने नंबर मिले, but that person lied about it. तो चीटिंग तो करी ना. The point which I'm saying is that your attitude towards cheating is not consistent with your behavior, right? Because it is not, अगर चीटिंग करनी होती तो वो तो जब नहीं आते थे आंसर्स तभी कर लेते, but तब नहीं करी. So here the attitude or the behavior is not shaped by your attitude towards cheating. Your behavior is shaped by how badly you have performed. अब हम लोग होता है ना, चीटिंग नहीं करते एग्जाम में, लेकिन जब घर पे रिपोर्ट कार्ड लेके जानी होती थी तो कितनी बार होता था, मतलब पता नहीं कितनों ने किया है, बट होता था यार कि थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे मार्क्स कर देते थे, या फिर कि अरे सभी का बड़ा खराब परफॉर्मेंस गया है, अरे हाफ ऑफ द क्लास इज फेल, मैं तो पता नहीं किसी तरह मैनेज किया पास करना, इनफैक्ट आई एम इन द टॉप 10 स्टूडेंट्स बिकॉज रेस्ट एवरीवन हैज फेल. करते थे ना ये सब. भाई चीटिंग नहीं करते थे क्योंकि हमारा एटीट्यूड क्लियर था, भाई चीटिंग नहीं करनी, ठीक है. लेकिन जब मार्क्स खराब आए, परफॉर्मेंस खराब आई, तो झूठ बोलना, इस तरह की हरकतें करना, सो दैट इज, सो द behavior with respect to cheating is not determined by the attitude. It is determined by the fact how badly you have performed in the examination. This was proved by Corey through his research. Did you get the point? ठीक है. So लिखो, बस एक लाइन में लिखो, ये पूरी कहानी लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है. कितनी बार होता था. माई मदर वॉज वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट वेन इट वॉज अबाउट द मार्क्स एंड एवरीथिंग, सो शी ऑलवेज वॉन्टेड मी टू डू वेल. तो कभी कभी होता था यार, एवरी एग्जाम डजंट गो वेल और समथिंग, तो हम यही बोल देते थे, अरे सब आउट ऑफ कोर्स पूछा, बुक्स में से कुछ आया ही नहीं, एंड ये वो. और कभी कभी तो इतने फालतू के एक्सक्यूज देते थे कि अरे हम उनसे कोचिंग नहीं लेते हैं ना, इसलिए जानबूझ के हमको कम नंबर दिए हैं. अरे मतलब बहुत फालतू के एक्सक्यूजेस मारते थे. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से. Okay, Vineet. So write down study on cheating behavior by Corey. Study on cheating behavior by Corey. Write down. Cheating behavior does not depend. Cheating behavior does not depend on attitude towards cheating. ये तो मैंने बहुत बोला है, सारा पेपर आउट ऑफ कोर्स था. Cheating behavior does not depend on the attitude towards cheating, but how poorly one has performed in exams. But how poorly one has performed in exams. Cheating behavior does not depend on attitude towards cheating, but how poorly one has performed in exams. How poorly one has performed in exams. ठीक है. एक और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग स्टडी थी, लापियर स्टडी. It was, I think, 1934. Again, I'm reiterating, year is not important, but Lapier study, it's also very interesting study. Actually, क्या था, 1930s की बात है. अच्छा, slow, okay, sorry आदित्य. I'll repeat, cheating behavior does not depend on attitude towards cheating, but how poorly one has performed in exams. How poorly one has performed हो जाए तो बता देना। Next, Lapierre study. See, if I talk about Lapierre study, what happened was during this period, 1930s की बात है, US में there was a racial attitude, मतलब biasness against Chinese people. Right, so they were not very positively disposed towards Chinese people. So this person Lapierre, he took a Chinese couple with him, ठीक है, to US, and he had traveled like some 10,000 miles from different places. He had visited some 200 hotels, restaurant and everything. And to his surprise, he found that everywhere those Chinese couple were very positively greeted. There was no racial biasness which was reflected in the behavior of these restaurants, these hotels or lodges, wherever they were residing or wherever they were going for dining and everything. Nothing, no racial attitude was reflected in the behavior, right? That is with respect to Lapierre study. 6 months later, he again called all those 200 places where they had visited 6 months earlier, and on phone he asked that what's their opinion with respect to showing their hospitality towards Chinese people. To his surprise, approximately 92% of these areas have answered in a no, that they will not entertain Chinese people. Did you get the point? Right. So actually their attitude was biased. However, that did not reflect in their behavior. So when it was asked to express their attitude on phone, they clearly expressed that they are not interested in hosting these Chinese people. However, when those Chinese people actually visited them, so that was not reflected in their behavior, because maybe hospitality sector hai, you have to be cordial with your customers and everything, whatsoever can be the reason. So the actual attitude was biased. However, that was not reflected in the behavior. So that was the study which was conducted by Lapierre. Is that clear? So write down. The study was the study was with respect to racial attitude towards Chinese couple in America. The study was with respect to the racial attitude towards Chinese couple in America, and it was observed that their attitude was not reflected in the behavior. And it was observed that their biased attitude was not reflected in their behavior. लिख लो तो मुझे बता देना प्लीज बेटा. Done? Chalo. Great. Let's continue. So now we have seen different examples. Fine, fine, I got. So now we have seen different examples where attitude is consistent with behavior, where we have seen the attitude which is more strong is going to be reflected in the behavior, and we have also seen the examples where attitude is not consistent with behavior. For example, if you disapprove of cheating does not mean you will never cheat. Right? If you are going to your office daily does not mean that you like your job. Okay? Similarly, if you are an environmentalist doesn't mean that you will not drive a big car. Okay, so many a times your attitude is not consistent with behavior. So there are factors which affects the attitude behavior consistency. That is what I meant. Is that very clear? First and foremost, whether attitude will be consistent with the behavior or not, it depends upon the individual. It depends upon the situation. It also depends upon how strong your attitude is. So what I mean when I say it depends upon the individual. There are two types of individual. High on self monitoring and low on self monitoring. अगर हिंदी में समझाना हो तो I will say high on self monitoring are those who are concerned with लोग क्या कहेंगे, and low on self monitoring are those who don't care कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. Is that very clear? So when you are low on self-monitoring, where you don't care what the circumstances are, you don't care log kya kahenge, then your behavior is consistent with your attitude. Is that clear? Whatever is your true belief, whatever is your true feeling, whatever is your true attitude, that will be reflected in your action. So your attitude will be consistent with your behavior if you are low on self-monitoring. बट अगर आप परेशान हो लोग क्या कहेंगे, ठीक है, इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन हाउ एम आई सपोज टू एक्ट, राइट, अभी माहौल क्या बन रहा है, विच इज द मोस्ट practical thing or pragmatic thing to be done in a situation, then you are high on self monitoring. Here your attitude will not be consistent with your behavior because your behavior will be more determined by the situation which is existing. हाँ 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 गिरधर, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल हो सकता है, लेकिन ये कैरेक्टर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल है, ठीक है, तो कैरेक्टर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल मिक्स नहीं होता. अगर वो मिक्स वाली सिचुएशन आ रही है ना, सो वी आर मोर ऑन हाई ऑन सेल्फ मॉनिटरिंग. ठीक है, I have seen a lot of people, whatever the situation is, they never go against their true attitude, right? So their behavior is usually the expression of their true feelings, their beliefs and their attitude. They are low on self-monitoring. I have seen people who in different situation with different people have been behaving in a different manner. That's more because you are high on self-monitoring. और ये मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि ये अच्छा है और ये बुरा है या ये बुरा है और ये अच्छा है ना, मैं बात बता रही हूँ केवल. Is that very clear? I am not saying that you should be worried about this or you should be worried about this. I am not saying this. I am just saying that if individual have this characteristic, then attitude will be consistent with behavior. If individual has this characteristic, attitude will not be consistent with behavior. बस मेरी इतनी सी बात है. मैं ये नहीं कह रही आपको ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए. I cannot say this. और वैसे भी हर सिचुएशन पे डिपेंड करता है कि आपको कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए. So मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि क्या सही है क्या गलत. That's not my job to tell you. My job is to tell you in what situation attitude will be consistent with behavior and in which situation it will not be. Is that clear? So write down. Low on self-monitoring. My behavior is usually an expression. My behavior is usually an expression of my true inner feelings. My behavior is usually an expression of my true inner feelings, attitude and beliefs. My behavior is usually an expression of my true inner feelings, attitude and beliefs. High on self-monitoring. High on self-monitoring. In different situation with different people, in different situation with different people, they act like different person. They act like different person. In different situation with different people, they act like different person. Their behavior results more from pragmatic concern with what is appropriate in the situation. Pragmatic concern with what is appropriate in different situation. Pragmatic concern with what is appropriate in different situation. क्लियर है? Situational factor. Attitude as heuristic. I'll tell you how it works. There was a experiment which was done. Let us suppose there is this organization. Let me explain what it means when I say attitude. This is an organization and there is a person who is the HR head who is responsible for recruitment. However, the person's attitude is slightly patriarchal, okay? He is not in favor of girls, some factor, but he has the attitude which is patriarchal. Having said that, he is also very efficient. Okay? He is patriarchal, no doubt about it, but he is efficient also. So there was a recruitment which was supposed to be done for a certain job and he had a week's time to make the recruitment for the job. And there were about 50 profiles. So he scanned through each and every profile and which candidate is suitable. Based on that, certain people were called for the interview. And lastly, a women candidate was shortlisted. Although he is patriarchal, that's another thing. But then he is efficient also and he had a week's time where he had to scan through 50 CVs and he had to make the recruitment. And finally, he recruited a women candidate who according to him is more suitable for the job. That's a good thing, right? However, 6 months later, again he was given the task of recruiting. But this time the challenge was, again he had the 50 CVs, but then he just had 1 day's time. अब एक दिन में 50 सीवी को पूरा स्कैन करना, उन्हें इंटरव्यू के लिए बुलाना, फाइनल शॉर्टलिस्टिंग करना, थोड़ा मैनेज करना मुश्किल था. So then he said, how many girls? So the person said कि around 25 girls. हटाओ. Now how many CV left? 25. इसमें से देखो who all are from there, from IIT Ahmedabad, IIM Ahmedabad. So the person said कि there are 5 people who are from IIM Ahmedabad. So then he said कि combination देखो IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad कौन है, या IIT Delhi IIM Calcutta का combination कितनों का है. So the person said 3 people are from this combination. बोला तीनों को बुला लो इंटरव्यू के लिए. And finally the recruitment was done. Did you understand what I'm trying to say? When you do not have a time crunch, you have time to deliberate upon. So your attitude will not be impacting your behavior. But when you have that time crunch, your true inner attitude will be reflected in your behavior. अब आपको एक डिफरेंस बताती हूँ. जब मैं यूपीएससी का एग्जाम देती थी, एक ऐसे लिखना होता था, ठीक है, और बहुत टाइम होता था. 200 वर्ड का ऐसे 200 मार्क्स का पेपर होता था. एंड वी कहते थे लोग कि मतलब लिखो 2000 2500 वर्ड, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. हम तब भी 1200 1500 वर्ड्स ही लिखते थे, इससे ऊपर नहीं लिखते थे, ठीक है. वी हैड 3 hours टू राइट 1 essay. You guys have 3 hours to write 2 essays on altogether different topics. You have time crunch. So sometimes knowingly, unknowingly, whatever is your thought process, that will be reflected in your paper. इसीलिए बार बार हम कहते हैं that you have to develop that decision making personality. You have to have that problem solving approach. You have to have approach of compassion towards the vulnerable section. You have to be well aware about everything that is happening around. You should have the ability and capability to interlink different themes and topics. I'm just giving you an example. I'll give you another example to make you understand better. आपकी अपनी लाइफ से कभी शॉपिंग पे गए हो? लेट अस सपोज आपकी एक क्लास है 1 से 4, दूसरी क्लास है 5 से 8. 1 घंटे का टाइम है, बहुत तफरी काटने का टाइम है, आप आराम से एक शॉप पे गए पेन खरीदने, भैया पेन दिखा दीजिए, अच्छा तो लिख के देख रहे हैं, अच्छा ये भी अच्छा चल रहा है, अरे ये वाला ब्रांड तो अच्छा लग रहा है यार, ये भी बढ़िया चल रहा है, अच्छा ये ब्रांड नहीं है लेकिन पेन कितना स्मूथ चल रहा है ना, 1 घंटा टाइम पास मार रहे हो. And finally, you have purchased a pen of a company which you have never heard of also. Why? Because you were actually having all the time to deliberate upon कि which pen is working smoothly, किस में मेरी handwriting अच्छी आ रही है, क्योंकि आपके पास time था पूरा, ठीक है. Now let us suppose you have an exam in another 10 minutes. You don't have time and you've realized that you forgot the pen. Immediately you rush to the shop and you like इस वाली कंपनी का पेन दो जल्दी से. ब्रांड था ना, एटीट्यूड था ना कि ये पर्टिकुलर पेन हमेशा अच्छा चलता है, क्योंकि टाइम नहीं था, जल्दी दो पेन. You did not bother to explore different kind of pen. Maybe you would have found a pen which is better than this. Nahi. Here the brand impact works. This is how the brand impact works. Is that very clear? Immediately you rush because you don't have the time to deliberate. So whichever brand you are positively disposed towards, you will immediately purchase the pen. Did you get my point? Did you understand what I'm just trying to say? Is that very clear? Okay. Suppose you are moving on the road and you saw a girl slapping a boy and you didn't have the time, because you always have the attitude that women usually don't do wrong. It is always the men who does wrong. That attitude is there somewhere deep down the line. Immediately your behavior was पक्का इस लड़के ने कुछ गलत किया है. That is why he is being slapped. ठीक ही हुआ. Did you get my point what I'm trying to say? But if you have time, you will go, you will understand what is the situation, then you will realize, अच्छा इस बार तो लड़के की कोई गलती नहीं थी यार. This time तो girl was at the fault. So you had the time to look into the situation. So your true attitude is not getting reflected in your behavior. But when you don't have the time, then immediately what is your original attitude will be reflected in the behavior. So that is attitude as heuristic. Is this very clear for everyone out there? Can you write this? Likho. When you have information overload, no time to plan or contemplate before behavior. When you have information overload, no time to plan or contemplate before behavior. Hence, whatever, I'll repeat, when you have information overload, and no time to contemplate or plan before behavior, hence whatever attitude you possess, you will accordingly act. Whatever attitude you possess, you will accordingly act. Example, person X is a recruiter in an organization. Person X is a recruiter in an organization. There are set of male and female candidates. There are set of male and female candidates. Set of male and female candidates. Person X has slightly negative biasness towards women candidates. Person X has slightly negative biasness towards women candidates. Full stop. If person X has sufficient time for recruitment, if person X has sufficient time for recruitment, He will analyze the situation before acting. He will analyze the situation before acting. He'll analyze the situation before acting. Else, the patriarchal attitude will be reflected. Else, the patriarchal attitude will be reflected. Else, the patriarchal attitude will be reflected. Clear है? Next, bandwagon effect. Bandwagon effect. Bandwagon matlab, let us say you have X attitude and the others have Y attitude, and you hold those others at very high regard. You will never have attitude behavior consistency. मैंने जो बोला उसको सोचो अब. You have X attitude, others have Y attitude, and you hold those others in very high regards. You don't want to be left out. Your attitude behavior will never be consistent. Is that clear? लिखो मैं समझाती हूं. Bandwagon effect. Suppose we have X attitude. Suppose we have X attitude and others have Y attitude. Suppose we have X attitude and others have Y attitude, and we hold those others in high regard. We hold those others in high regard. Then very rare possibility of attitude behavior consistency. Very rare possibility of attitude behavior consistency. Sometimes the norms of the society are very strong. We don't behave as we want to behave. We behave as we are expected to behave. Let us say that you are one person who believes that child marriage is wrong, but everyone in your village or in your surrounding is practicing child marriage, right? And the norms regarding child marriage are collectively held. So you are not able to raise your voice against it. Why? Because you have that pressure to conform to the norms of the people around you. So that is the problem. Is that very clear? So I'm just giving you an example that, let us say, this is all with respect to an example that where you are holding a certain attitude, however, others are having altogether a different attitude. So your attitude will not be consistent with your behavior. Why? Because you have the pressure to conform to the attitude which is held by others. Is that very clear? For example, the safe example, that you are going to your office every day. You don't like your job at all. But then that is not reflected in your behavior because you are not practicing absenteeism. You are going to the office. In fact, you have 100% attendance. Your attitude is you dislike, right? But irrespective of that dislike towards the job, it is not getting reflected in your behavior. Why? Because there is a pressure from the society to keep on earning. So there is a pressure from the society to be settled in the work sphere. So because of that pressure to conform to the norms of society, you are not behaving as per your attitude. That is bandwagon effect. Is this very clear? Is it making sense? Absolutely, Rimjim. Absolutely. Dowry can also be the example. Can we take another thing? Attitude, strength, bandwagon effect, likh liya na? Write down. People behave as they are expected by others to behave. people behave as they are expected by others to behave. If norms are very strong, if the norms are very strong, if the norms, bandwagon effect है नेहा, I'm continuing there only. Bandwagon effect ही है. If the norms are very strong and collectively held, if the norms are very strong and collectively held, then everyone behaves according to the norm irrespective of their attitude. Then everyone behave according to the norm irrespective of their attitude. Example, social issues, dowry, child marriage, etc. Everyone act according to the norms irrespective of the attitude. For example, child marriage, dowry, etc. Next, attitude. अब मैं ये पढ़ा रही हूं, attitude strength. Attitude, behavior, consistency also depends upon how strong your attitude is. What is the strength of your attitude? That will also determine the level of consistency. Is that clear? For example, let us say the relevance of the attitude. What I mean by the relevance, attitude relevance, it says what is the relevance of the attitude object for the attitude holder. I'll give you an example. There is person X, or let us say I, take example, I believe in blood donation. That's important. Take care. There was a message which I got that so and so person needs blood. However, it has to be donated in a hospital in Gurgaon. I am in middle of a meeting and my meeting is, let us say, in North Delhi, or let us say Karol Bagh, right? And I have to travel, leaving my meeting all the way to Gurgaon to donate blood to someone who I personally don't know, but I have got a WhatsApp message, right? So that attitude object is the person to whom I have to donate the blood. I am having a very positive attitude towards blood donation. I believe that blood needs to be donated. That's the best thing which a person can do for the society. However, my attitude is not very strong because that attitude object is not very relevant for me. I am looking for other situational factors. या मीटिंग के बीच में हूं, यहां से मीटिंग छोड़ के मैं गुड़गांव तक जाऊंगी ब्लड देने, क्या पता तब तक कोई और पहुंच ही जाएगा देने के लिए. So at max what I'm doing is I am having a follow up कि यार कोई दिया है या नहीं दिया है, ठीक है. If the situation changes and the person who is admitted in Gurgaon is a family member, is an immediate family member, चाहे मीटिंग हो, चाहे कोई डील हो रही हो, everything would be left. And immediately the person will rush. अब गुड़गांव हो या कहीं और हो, आप जाओगे क्योंकि immediate family member को blood की जरूरत है और आप दे सकते हो. Did you get my point? So my attitude was reflected in my behavior. That also depends upon the relevance of the attitude object for the attitude holder. Is this very clear for everyone? Write down. Write down. Attitude relevance is determined. Attitude relevance is determined by the vested interest of an individual, by the vested interest of an individual with respect to the attitude object. With respect to the attitude object. With respect to the attitude object. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो अगर एटीट्यूड आपके लिए बिल्कुल रेलेवेंट नहीं है, मतलब कोई दूसरा बंदा है तो आप देने नहीं जाओगे. मैं आपको एक सिचुएशन क्रिएट करके बता रही हूं. आप मिडिल ऑफ द मीटिंग में हो, बहुत दूर जाना है, तो नो मैटर हाउ पॉजिटिवली डिस्पोज्ड यू आर टुवर्ड्स दिस एक्ट ऑफ ब्लड डोनेशन, यू माइट थिंक ट्वाइस बिफोर बिहेविंग. right? However, if the person is immediate family member, the person is very relevant for the attitude holder, the attitude object is very relevant, immediately your attitude would be reflected in your behavior. Is this clear? Last line, I said attitude relevance is determined by the vested interest, is determined by the vested interest of the attitude holder in the attitude object, is determined by the vested interest of the attitude holder with respect to attitude object. क्लियर है? Attitude strength is also dependent upon the fact how have you acquired the attitude. ठीक है? I asked everyone in the class, do you like cricket? Most of you said yes, yes ma'am, very fond of cricket. ठीक है? I really like cricket. सबने ये बोला. ठीक है? I assume that tomorrow is a match. So I said tomorrow 2 o'clock there is a match and please come. Most of you didn't turn up. Hardly 1 or 2 of you turned up. I was like, yaar, inka attitude, they were so positively disposed towards cricket. I organized a match. They didn't turn up for the match. Why is it so? Because now it depends. How have you acquired that attitude towards cricket? If you yourself are the player, you have always played cricket, and that is why you have a positive attitude, तो फिर तो चाहे धूप हो चाहे बारिश हो तुम खेलने पहुंच ही जाओगे. ठीक है? Because अरे यार, when you are a player yourself, no matter at which stage of your life you are, and if someone asks you to, will you come and play a match, you will always be ready. अरे नहीं, चलो एक एक मैच हो जाए, चाहे वो सॉकर हो, चाहे वो टेबल टेनिस हो, लॉन टेनिस हो, क्रिकेट हो. मैं सिर्फ एक एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ. Let us say you are very fond of cricket. Why? Because you like a player. I used to watch cricket when I was in school and college, and that was more because of Saurav Ganguly. I was a hardcore fan of Saurav Ganguly. तो वो जो एक दादा वाली spirit थी ना, नहीं मतलब I still remember मेरा board का exam था और इंडिया का match था finals and World Cup finals, and India lost to Australia. And I remember मेरा economics का paper था, मतलब everybody was tense that economics paper कैसे जाएगा, and I was tensed that India lost. So can you get the point? So I have never played cricket, but I had that fondness for the cricket because of the player, right? So however, that strength of the attitude would be very different. कोई मुझको कहेगा दोपहर में 2 बजे आके या बारिश में आके या रात में आके तुम क्रिकेट खेलोगे, नहीं, मैं नहीं जाऊंगी. मैं तो वैसे ही क्रिकेट देखती थी because there are 2-3 players. I am fond of them. I like their game. So I watch that. Did you get my point? There can be someone who has that regional attitude कि नहीं तो IPL culture जो है, तो they are playing because they want to support that Delhi, they want to support Mumbai, they want to support Kolkata or Chennai Super Kings or whatsoever it is. Did you get my point? ठीक है? So it all depends how have you acquired that attitude. Is this clear? So the strength of the attitude also depends upon whether you have acquired that attitude due to direct exposure to the attitude object. So have you played the game, or you just like watching the game, or you watch the game because of a player, or you have regional sentiments, ठीक है? Or for some it is source of income also. So it all depends upon. Is that very clear? That how have you acquired that attitude? So write down. Attitude strength depends upon. Attitude strength depends upon. Attitude strength depends upon if the attitude is acquired due to direct exposure to the attitude object. I know there are a lot of people who are Dhoni fans. There are a lot of people who are Kohli fans. Okay. I think Dhoni is one where I can see maximum fan base across the time. So attitude strength depends upon if the attitude is acquired due to direct exposure to the attitude object. If attitude is acquired due to direct exposure to the attitude object. For example, attitude towards the game. Attitude towards the game. नहीं, Sachin Tendulkar is beyond that. One thing I've noticed that there are certain people, I'm generally saying there are certain people who might like Ganguly, who might not like. There are certain people who might like Kohli, might not. Similarly for Dhoni also, there are some who might like him, who might. But Sachin Tendulkar is beyond this. You would not find people who don't like him. So he is beyond. So that is what I'm saying. Okay. So generally saying, guys, you have your individual choices. I'm generally saying that this is the observation which I've seen. जैसे उनको तो इस कैटेगरी में भी नहीं रखते कि whether you like him or not, because there is no doubt only that whether you like him or not. It's beyond doubt. So yeah. Next, so the example is attitude towards the game. Attitude towards the game. हो गया ये. Attitude accessibility. Attitude accessibility. Attitude strength किस बात से डिटरमाइन होती है ये बताती हूं. ये attitude object है. The moment attitude holder is exposed to the attitude object, the attitude strikes the mind. Suppose there is a cockroach and immediately you get fearful. Attitude is strong. Cockroach देखते ही डर गए एकदम. 1 मिनट भी सोचा नहीं आपने, बस डर गए, चीख निकल गई. हाँ रिमझिम अभी मैं आ जाऊंगी, वो जो मुझे स्ट्राइक करता जा रहा है वो मैं बताती जा रही हूँ. ठीक है, आई विल कम टू द स्पेसिफिसिटी. ठीक है, इज दैट क्लियर? कहां थे हम? एक्सेसिबिलिटी. हाँ रिमझिम अभी मैं लिखवा रही हूं. सो एक्सेसिबिलिटी इज हाउ क्विक your attitude is accessible, how quick it comes to your mind. Absolutely. Lizard देखते ही एकदम very strong attitude, right? So this is accessibility of the attitude. I am giving these examples just to make you realize the topic in a very common man language. You can use this concept when you talk with respect to race, when you talk with respect to gender, whether you talk with respect to ethnic groups, whether, क्योंकि मैं ये सब पढ़ा चुकी हूं आपको. अब आपको लिंक करना है कि किसी रेशियल ग्रुप के मेंबर को देखकर अगर इमीडिएटली कोई एटीट्यूड आता है, ठीक है, सो दैट मीन्स दैट एटीट्यूड इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. अगर किसी एथनिक ग्रुप के मेंबर को देखकर कोई एटीट्यूड आपको तुरंत से आ जाता है, दैट मीन्स दैट एटीट्यूड इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. व्हाट्स योर ओपिनियन अबाउट women working women? What's your attitude? Immediately you say absolutely good, it's a phenomenal thing. And you're thinking whether a woman should work or not. That means attitude abhi itna strong nahi hai. Whatever attitude it is, positive or negative, that I am not talking about. How quickly it strikes your mind, that's what I'm talking about. Is that very clear? ठीक है. Right now, attitude accessibility. और मैं ये आपको कॉमन लैंग्वेज में एग्जाम्पल इसलिए दे रही हूं, एकदम लेमैन लैंग्वेज, सो दैट इट स्टेज विथ यू. बट ये छिपकली और कॉकरोच वाला एग्जाम्पल एग्जाम में नहीं देना है. एग्जाम्पल आपको तब देना है. स्निग्धा एटीट्यूड रेलेवेंस का एग्जाम्पल दिया ना. स्निग्धा अच्छा एक सेकंड रुको, मुझे ये पहले लाइन कंप्लीट करने दो. एटीट्यूड एक्सेसिबिलिटी का मतलब होता है हाउ क्विक द एटीट्यूड स्ट्राइक्स योर माइंड, राइट? वेदर इट इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एन इशू, whether it is with respect to an idea, whether it is with respect to a community. So jitna quickly that attitude is accessible to your mind, utna hi strong is your attitude, and utna hi attitude behavior consistency would be there. Is that very clear? So try to use it in context of ethnic groups, racial groups, gender, etc. Is that very clear? Attitude relevance से मेरा मतलब है whether you have the vested interest or not. I gave you that example na, blood donation wala, that it depends that whether that attitude object is of some vested interest for you or not. Is that clear? Again I'll revisit. ये attitude object है, pen. It is very relevant for me. Right? ठीक है? So it is very relevant. So anything with respect to this attitude object, my attitude would be consistent with my behavior because this object is very relevant for me. Is that very clear? Is it making sense? ठीक है? Attitude, accessibility में बस एक लाइन में लिख लो. It depends how quickly attitude comes to your mind, once you look at the attitude object. How quickly attitude comes to your mind once you look or you are exposed to the attitude object. Once you look at the attitude object. How quickly attitude comes to your mind once you look at the attitude object. Actually, मैं attitude specificity इसलिए last में देना चाहती थी because I have already shared this topic with you. I'll tell you how. Remember, I told you that let us say you value peace, but that does not mean you will participate in peace protest, right? You are religious does not mean you will attend kirtan. Remember? ठीक है? You are religious does not mean that you will go to temple every day. Did you get my point, right? So that is what I say. Specific attitude are more stronger than the general attitude. So specific attitude is more consistent with the behavior rather than the general attitude. I asked you, are you religious? You said yes. But then you didn't turn up for the kirtan, no. So I have to be very specific. What's your opinion about kirtans? Ma'am, agar chutti wale din hoga, I'll come. Otherwise not. Did you get the point? मैम एग्जाम आने वाले हैं, आई एम वेरी रिलीजियस, लेकिन मैम एग्जाम की बात कर दोगे तो आई विल कम. डिड यू गेट माय पॉइंट? ठीक है. सो दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, दैट स्पेसिफिक एटीट्यूड आर मोर स्ट्रॉन्ग. द स्ट्रॉन्गर द एटीट्यूड, द मोर कंसिस्टेंट विद द बिहेवियर. इसलिए मैं लास्ट में ले रही थी. लिखो, स्पेसिफिक एटीट्यूड इज मोर स्ट्रॉन्गर देन जनरल एटीट्यूड. स्पेसिफिक एटीट्यूड is more stronger than the general attitude. For example, नहीं रिमझिम, नहीं प्रैक्टिकलिटी से लेना देना नहीं है, स्पेसिफिसिटी से लेना देना है. ठीक है, स्पेसिफिक, एग्जैक्ट. ठीक है. आर यू रिलीजियस? एग्जाम्पल दे रही हूं. आर यू रिलीजियस और हाउ ऑफन डू यू विजिट टेम्पल और हाउ ऑफन डू यू विजिट रिलीजियस श्राइन्स? हाउ ऑफन डू यू विजिट रिलीजियस श्राइन्स? Are you religious or how often do you visit religious shrines? Are you peaceful or will you participate in peace protest? Are you peaceful or will you participate in peace protest? Have we done everything? So if you get a question with respect to attitude, behavior, consistency, will you be able to write now? Okay. What are the factors which affects attitude, behavior, consistency? It depends upon the individual. It depends upon the situational factor. It depends upon the strength of the attitude. What factors determines the strength of the attitude? How specific it is? What is the relevance of the attitude object for the attitude holder? How quickly it is accessible? And how have you acquired that attitude? Is this very clear? I hope you have understood bandwagon effect. I hope you have understood attitude as heuristic. I hope you have understood high on self-monitoring and low on self-monitoring. Did you understand Corey's study, Lapierre's study? You can make references to this. Is that clear? I have given you certain set of examples, but do not restrict yourself only to these examples. Try to explore more. ठीक है? So whenever you are preparing for it, अभी आपके पास time नहीं है, neither do I expect. ठीक है? Snigdha, specific is visiting religious shrines, holding kirtans. That is specific. मैंने बहुत स्पेसिफिकली पूछ लिया कि इस बारे में आपकी क्या ओपिनियन है. Okay. I asked you, what's your opinion about welfare of marginalized section? You said absolutely. There should be welfare. There should be this. And then I asked you, can I give reservation to this section also? Can I give reservation to this section also? Can I give reservation to this section also? You said nahi. Did you get my point? You have a general attitude that the welfare of marginalized section should happen. But I can't assume that since you want welfare of marginalized section, you will be pro reservation also. You might say that, fine, ma'am, I want upliftment of marginalized section, but you should look for other means to uplift their status. Did you get my point? So, यहाँ पे specific है. रिमझिम विद टाइम आ जाएगा बच्चे, विद टाइम आ जाएगा. ठीक है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, बहुत कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है. मैं इसलिए कम शब्द लिखती थी बिकॉज आई हैव ऑलवेज बीन अ साइंस स्टूडेंट, तो ज्यादा शब्द तो मैं लिख भी नहीं पाती. So that is one of the reason, and that is why I always prefer bullet points. I always prefer these flow charts. Example भी देना है. रिमझिम फर्स्ट टाइम सेकेंड टाइम बहुत लगता है, मैं भी बहुत लंबा लिख जाती थी कभी कभी, बट फिर क्या होता है जब आप एक दो बार तीन बार लिखते हो ना, तो नॉट सो इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें खुद ही हटाने लगते हो. Anything which is not adding value, अच्छा ठीक है, okay, keep a mindset. Any information which is not adding value to your answer, you will not write. Let us put it this way. कोई भी एग्जाम्पल XYZ, अगर वो पर्टिकुलर इंफॉर्मेशन इज नॉट एडिंग एनी न्यू डायमेंशन और वैल्यू टू योर एग्जाम्पल, डू नॉट राइट, स्किप. इस तरह से करो. Rimjim, I hope this advice will work. Just try doing this. Just don't write any piece of information which is not adding any new dimension or any value to your answer example. अपने आप वो छोटा होता चला जाएगा. मुश्किल लगेगा शुरू में, right? Practice it twice, thrice, and then you will see that it is coming naturally to you. Is this very clear for everyone? ठीक है? Can I conclude the lecture? Because next topic, okay, by the way, attitude में सिर्फ अब एक टॉपिक रह गया है, that is social influence and persuasion. So tomorrow I'll start with social influence, and what we will discuss in social influence, let me just give you the flow chart. Social influence. Background. Concept. Theoretical perspective. mechanisms through which social influence is manifested. Conformity, ये कल पढ़ाऊंगी सारा. Conformity, compliance, obedience. And how persuasion is one type of social influence. That would be the last topic, and with this attitude will come to an end. ठीक है. सो जल्दी से ये डायग्राम, ये फ्लो चार्ट बना लो बस. Social influence. Amit, how have you acquired the attitude? I told you now whether you have acquired the attitude with the direct exposure to the attitude object or not. वो cricket वाला पूरा example. That is how have you acquired the attitude. ठीक है? So whether you have acquired the attitude directly through your personal experiences or through books, through observation, सुनी सुनाई बातें, तो फर्क पड़ता है. If you have acquired that attitude through your personal experience, automatically that attitude would be strong and that will be reflected in your behavior. But if you have acquired the attitude, let us say through books, let us say through listening to other people, so that might not be very strong. So that might not be reflected in your behavior. I think kal I'll finish social influence. 1 hour for persuasion, 2 hours for 3 lectures. That's it. 3 more lectures. 3 more lectures. उसके बाद मेरा टॉपिक खत्म. ओह नहीं अमित, नहीं 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 नहीं, वो क्रिकेट वाला क्या डिक्टेट करती. ठीक है. इज दिस क्लियर? तो ये लिख लिया है ना सबने. आई विल कंटिन्यू विद दिस टॉपिक टुमारो. एक क्वेश्चन लिख लो. What are the functions of the attitude? What are the functions of the attitude? Explain through examples. What are the functions of the attitude? Explain nahi Shantanu, you can give current affair examples. There are so many examples which can be given. Nahi, I gave the fictional examples, or not exactly the fictional examples, but examples not from the current affairs, so that to give a balanced argument in the class, right? There might be some who might not agree with certain set of examples, right? So to give that balanced example which can suit everyone's interest, those examples are given. But that doesn't mean कि current affairs के आप examples नहीं डाल सकते हो. Totally डाल सकते हो if you are agreeing to it. Right? So whether it is with respect to women ka labor force participation, whether it is with respect to reservation, whether it is with respect to caste, whether it is with respect to racism, whether it is with respect to ethno-nationalism, pick up and write examples. Who says you can't? एक बात हमेशा याद रखना शांतनु, if you understand the concept, if you understand the example in layman language, you can apply the concept and layman language example anywhere that you want. बड़े एग्जाम्पल से छोटे पे नहीं आ सकते, छोटे एग्जाम्पल से बड़े पे हमेशा जा सकते. इज दैट वेरी क्लियर? Always remember that. All you need to focus is on the concept. If the concept is clear, if you have understood in the basic terms, then you can write any example wherever it is suitable. Is that clear? And that also depends upon what kind of questions is being asked. Is this very clear? ठीक है? So people, take care and try answering the questions. ठीक? I will last में ना I will discuss थोड़ा सा यूपीएससी का क्वेश्चंस एंड एवरीथिंग विद यू, यू विल गेट मोर क्लैरिटी. अभी ना मैं इतना बर्डन तुम पर यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चंस का इसलिए भी नहीं डाल रही हूँ, एनीवे यू कांट प्रैक्टिस, तो अभी क्या पॉइंट है बोलने का. मैं लास्ट क्लास जो भी अपनी लूंगी उसमें मैं बता दूंगी. इज दिस वेरी क्लियर? ठीक है, टेक केयर पीपल, गुड नाइट, हैव अ नाइस डे. ठीक, और कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं लेना है कि आई नो मेनी ऑफ यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर दिस ईयर्स प्रीलिम्स और टाइम नहीं मिल रहा है पढ़ाई करने का. कोई जरूरत नहीं है स्ट्रेस लेने की. जितना हम क्लास में कर रहे हैं अगर उतना भी अटेंड कर पा रहे हो, गुड इनफ. घर जाके बिल्कुल समय मत खराब करो, अपनी पढ़ाई पर लगो. ठीक है, और थोड़े दिनों में अगर लग रहा है कि ये क्लासेस भी अटेंड नहीं कर सकते हो तो बिल्कुल मत करना, टेंशन नहीं लेनी है किसी बात की. आराम से पढ़ाई करो, जितना मन लगे उतनी पढ़ाई करो. ठीक है, स्ट्रेस में नहीं पढ़ना. मैम ऑप्शनल भी चल रहा है, जीएस भी चल रहा है, सेल्फ स्टडी का टाइम नहीं मिल रहा, ऐसे भसड़ नहीं मचाना. जो तुमको कन्वीनियंट लगे. दीज क्लासेस आर देयर ऑन योर पोर्टल, यू कैन रेफर देम व्हेनेवर यू फील लाइक. ठीक है, और मैं लाइव क्लास वाली फील आई जाएगी. बस ये होगा एक आध क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ पाओगे, तो वो जब तुम्हारा सेशन एंड होगा मैं तुम्हें अपना मेल आईडी वैसे भी दे दूंगी. तो अगर कुछ बाद में रह जाएगा तो तुम मुझसे पूछ भी सकते हो. सो यू डोंट नीड टू वरी अबाउट एनीथिंग. इज दैट क्लियर? जितना कंफर्टेबली कन्वीनियंटली यू कैन स्टडी, प्लीज स्टडी. इज दैट क्लियर? ठीक है, ऑन दिस नोट आई विल कंक्लूड द लेक्चर एंड टेक केयर पीपल. गुड नाइट एंड टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ. ठीक है, चलो बाय.